Jonathan, things go one of two ways. You either succeed, or you learn, or you die.
That seems like three ways.
Today we're talking about 5 mistakes to avoid when starting your fitness routine.
You're listening to the Pathway Podcast, leading you on the path to fitness success. Here are your hosts, Jonathan Canales and Rex Andrews.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Pathway Podcast. I'm Rex.
And I'm Jonathan.
Jonathan, it's a new year. New stuff's happening, right?
Oh yeah, new year, new me. Let's go.
What? Every day, new you. You know,
Yeah.
I'm on top of the sayings today. I got it.
You got it.
Woo! So, listen, it's a new year, and with the new year, we started this new 6-week challenge, a lifestyle fitness challenge, making fitness fit into your lifestyle. I'm going to talk about it right now. If you want to know more about it, go to pathwaychallenge.com. But we got our clients kicking off with it, and we decided that, you know what, the team, it's been a while since we've done the secret challenge. We need to push ourselves, so we jumped in there with them, right?
Oh yeah, and I think it's fun. I think
Oh, it is fun.
it was one of those things where we were seeing so many people go through the challenge, and we realized, like, you know, it's been a little minute since we've really taken it to that next level and pushed our own selves. And it's fun to just make it work no matter what the excuses, no matter how busy you are with work. As most people know, the fitness industry is really busy around the beginning of the year, but we're not going to use that as an excuse, and we're going to fit it into our lifestyle and challenge ourselves to get better, get to that next level.
That's right. And so with the 6-week challenge, we've had a lot of people who have been going from doing nothing to getting back into fitness and getting into the routine. So we've been seeing a lot of people starting out. And over the years, we've seen hundreds of people start their fitness routines, and we've seen what makes people really successful and the things that get in the way and really hold people back from getting the success they want. So that's where we kind of stepped back and reflected over this first week of going, what are the things that most commonly get in the way, and how can we help people kind of get out of their own heads and avoid those mistakes?
Yeah, because I feel like a lot of the time, all you need is that little bit of information. And once you have that information, it becomes so much easier to think that, oh, okay, I can go do this thing. Like, I know I've read tons of books before in my life where when I was reading the book, it changed the way I thought about the world. And then I started taking a different action and a new habit because I had a new way of thinking about it. So if you know how to avoid the mistakes, then you can make sure you see the results that you want when you're starting your fitness journey.
That's right. You're on track to getting that ultimate success. So, like I said, it was week 1 for us, week 1 for our challengers going through, and it's the beginning of the year. So with that means it's time to check in. We had to do before pictures. We had to do measurements. We had to kind of get all the stats in place. And when you're starting your fitness routine, that can be super uncomfortable because you don't want to look at how bad is it really? Right?
Yes. And I feel like a lot of the times, I know in the past, especially before I really got into my fitness journey, where it would be times where maybe I would have a weekend where I was eating out the entire weekend, maybe drinking, and I literally didn't even want to step on the scale because I was I know I went up. I don't know how much I went up, and I really don't want to feel that pain because then I'm going to feel like I'm fat and I don't want to do this anymore. But every single time you just step on the scale, I would realize it really isn't as bad as I thought. But you build it up in your head to be way worse than it is. So that's why it's so important to just start with that starting point. And regardless of whether you're happy with it or you're not, you know where you're at. And then you can game plan for how to get to where you want to go.
Yeah, because let's be honest. Sometimes you get back on the scale. We had a ton of people who did a challenge in September and pushed it, went 100%, and saw great results. And then the holidays got crazy, like they do, right? And they felt like they backslid over Christmas and New Year's. They felt like they had lost everything that they gained. But they checked back in, and okay, maybe they're a couple pounds up, right? Or they're not in as great a shape as they were, but they've still seen a ton of progress from when they started. So it was oh, okay, I got this. I'm still moving the ball forward here. That's great. Sometimes you get on the scale and it's coming to Jesus. It's oh man, it is bad. And I do have to do something about it. But either way, that's better than just avoiding it. Because when we're avoiding it, we're not helping ourselves get any closer to actually solving the problem.
Yeah, because no one just avoids that pain and doesn't have any sort of starting point and then start seeing positive progress.
Yeah, like, I just did better.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't check in. I didn't like do anything at the beginning. I just thought like I wanted to get into better shape, and I just happened.
Yeah, it's like, well, what got better? I don't know. I didn't do measurements or anything, so
Yeah.
I have no idea. So, like, for myself, I did blood work. We did in-body scans, like, got our body fat percentage, did inches, took before pictures. I got as much information as I could. For me, that got me really excited because I saw where I was at, and I was like, okay, now I can set some really concrete goals, right? And it makes it way more like analytical. Again, it's kind of like making a game out of it, right? We're now like, okay, like here's where all the stats are. Here's all my information. Like, what can I do in a training camp to improve these stats? You know what I mean? So when you have like something to base that off of, it makes it way less emotional than just looking in the mirror going, oh, I'm still fat. Oh, this sucks. I'm still fat. Because like you're always going to be your own worst critic. In the mirror, they say like pictures don't lie. Pictures definitely lie. They say mirrors don't lie. Mirrors definitely lie. It's way easy to get in your head. So when you have real stats, you can avoid so many of those pitfalls of just getting in your own head.
Exactly. So I think at the end of the day, a lot of people don't want to feel the pain of maybe the backslide or them not really making their health and fitness a priority for a long period of time. So they just don't check in. They don't know where they're at. And so they can't make that positive progress. So if that's you and you haven't checked in with yourself in a while because you don't really want to know exactly where you're at because it might be too painful, then let this podcast be the thing that makes you go check in and actually take some before photos, weigh in, get some sort of metric so you can come up with a game plan to actually improve.
That's it. So again, you start your fitness routine. Number one thing, we want to make sure that we have our stats. We got to know where we're starting at so we can know where we're going, right? Set some real goals. Second big mistake people make, the dabblers. I got no time for dabblers.
Rex does really hate dabblers.
I do. Like, if you know me, if I'm in on something, I'm all in. Like, I'm focused. But like, seriously, a lot of times when they're starting the fitness routine, they go, well, I'm really busy, so I'm going to try this thing out. We'll see how it goes. But I don't know. I can tell you, and I want you to think about this for a minute. Tell me one time in your life where you said, we'll see how this goes, and it actually worked out. Because when you're halfway in, 1 foot in, 1 foot out, whether it's like a relationship, whether it's a fitness routine, whether it's like, going back to school, anything that you've been, well, I'll try. It doesn't work when we try. This takes effort. This takes you staying focused on something. So don't dabble. Give yourself some commitment if you really have goals you want to accomplish.
Yeah, I remember one time whenever I was in India, I can't remember like the context of this conversation, but I was at this like ashram, and I was talking to some like Indian guru that was there. And as I was leaving, he was like telling me to do something along the lines of like prayer. And I was like, yeah, I'll try. And then he like, I was shaking his hand, and he like grabbed my hand, and he was like, no, like there's no such thing as try. You either do or you don't. And I think when people say they're going to try on their fitness journey, more often than not, they're saying, I'm not going to do that. Because if you're saying you're going to try, why not just say, I'm going to do this? Why not commit to it and like actually believe in yourself to get it done instead of being like, I don't really know if I can, so I'm just going to try. And then that way, if I fail, it's not as painful because I wasn't really trying that hard. I was just kind of trying.
I love that your Indian spiritual guru quoted Yoda. That's good.
Is that what it was?
Yes. That's a Star Wars quote, but that's solid. Well. Hey, look, it's good advice.
Yeah.
Maybe I just love like this guy in a theater in India. Like, man, that is good. Hold on. I'll tell people that later.
Yeah, it's a good one, but
yeah,
I didn't know that.
Well, so look, you got to get your measurements. Number one, right? The second mistake to avoid: don't dabble. Be committed, right? Give it a real go if you're going to try. But then the flip side of that is it's not all or nothing, right? Don't expect yourself to be perfect at something, especially when you're just starting out. Just be committed to figuring it out, right? So to be committed to something doesn't mean that everything's going to go right 100% of the time. But when things come up, when life gets busy, you got to know that this is still a priority for you, and you're going to figure out how to make it work. You're going to figure out how to make this fit in. So that's the difference in trying and just being like, if it doesn't go perfect, then what's the point? I'm going to quit and start over. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, I think that makes perfect sense. And what I was thinking about whenever you were saying that.
More Yoda quotes?
I don't even know I was quoting Yoda last time. Maybe. This is actually a Father Mike quote.
That's good.
But there's a big difference between being 98% committed and being 100% committed. And I think when I first heard that, well, let me backtrack here. The difference between those two is if you're 98% committed to something, then you always have this like idea in the back of your head of, is this the 2% where I'm going to back out? Or is this, the 98% where I'm going to do what I said I was going to do? So you're having this constant like inner battle with yourself of, am I going to do what I said I was going to do or not? But when you're 100% committed, then you don't have to have that inner dialogue of, is this time going to be the time where I let myself down? You just know you're committed to figuring it out. And I think when I first heard that, I was like, man, so like if you're 100% committed to like doing something, then you can't ever fail. You have to like keep going and keep going. But after like, experiencing that and trying that out in my own life, I realized like it's not just when you're going all in, you're 100% committed, I have to be 100% perfect, but I'm 100% committed to learning from failures and like figuring that out, to trying to improve. And then even when I don't improve, like still figuring it out and staying committed, because so many people, when they start their, especially around this time, like New Year's resolutions, they start off and in the first 2 weeks, they already give up. There's 50 more weeks left in the year to finish what you said you're going to do. And in 2 weeks, you're going to just give up because you weren't perfect? Like, no, you're capable of so much more than that. So I think when we say, like, don't go all in, like, yeah, you still got to try really hard. You got to be 100% committed, but it doesn't mean you have to be perfect. There's like room for error along the way. It's just trying to learn from those errors and keep growing from it.
For sure. I think a practical way to like kind of see that when you were talking about the 98%, 2% thing, like a problem I see a lot of people do is when they go, well, like, I'll give myself one cheat meal a week, right? Mm-hmm. And then they'll start with saying like, well, on Saturday I'll have my cheat meal, but then Wednesday their friends are going out to eat and they're like, okay, well, I'll just do my cheat day on Wednesday. And they do their cheat day, and then what happens on Saturday? They still want their cheat day, right?
Exactly.
So they give another cheat day. So it's like, wait, well, okay. So I'm like, I did pretty good last week, and then pretty good turns into you're just doing the exact same thing you were doing, and then you're wondering why you're not seeing the progress. So you can feel like you're trying way harder than you actually are when you give yourself like wiggle room and not keeping track of like what's actually happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because when you're 100% committed to something and then you don't do what you said you were going to do, like you feel that. Yeah. You're like, man, I let myself down. And at that point, you have two options. You either like give up or you learn from that experience and like keep growing, or you just die.
No, you die. That's the other option. So number 4, right? You got to measure, got to keep track of where you're at. Don't dabble, be committed. Number 4 is you got to keep like a reminder of what you're working on in front of you. This is huge for success because like life happens, right? Things get in the way, and it is just so easy to put your own goals on the back burner because just things seem so urgent in the moment, right? I know for me, like when somebody comes to me with a problem, either at work or at home, it just like kind of takes over like all of my mental capacity, right? It's like, I got to solve this problem first. When, if I take a second and go like, I have to solve this absolutely right now? Or can this take a minute, me take care of what I need to take care of and then go to this? That's an option way more often than I give it credit to be.
Yeah, no, for sure. And I think like, when you keep your goals in front of you and you're like thinking about them every day, when you have those like urgent moments that come up, it's easier to take the action that you're proud of. Like I know, I was talking with one of my buddies, and he was saying in 2018 and 2019, before the year started, he like wrote down 10 goals that he wanted to accomplish, and he put them by his like work computer. So at least 5 days a week, he was going into work, and he was like seeing all these goals. So he knew to like take more action to try to like get towards them. And he accomplished all 10 of his goals back-to-back years. But then the next 2 years, he didn't write those goals down. They weren't anywhere. And so he just felt like he didn't do anything to really like move forward. And so I think whenever you're looking at those goals and they're in front of you, and then you have a situation where maybe like one of your friends comes up to you and they're like, man, I just had this really like painful thing I went through, right? And could you like come out and grab some drinks with me and like just talk about it? Normally that's something where if I'm not thinking about my goals, I'm like, yeah, like I got to be there for my friend. I got to go do this. So you go and you're like, well, I'm trying to be a good friend and it doesn't matter that I'm drinking. But when you have your goals in front of you and you know, like, okay, I told myself I wasn't going to do that. So how can I go and be with this person, hear them, and still be able to like make progress towards my goals? So then it gives you that moment to like think about it and take the emotion out of it and actually execute in a way that still helps in that problem, but also serves you and your goals.
That's it. Yeah, and it helps keep that scoreboard, right? Like you're moving towards your goal, because the other side of it is 2 weeks into the new year, your friend asks you like, "Hey, how's your goal going?" And you're like, "Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot I was working on that. Yeah, I didn't really make it last week." Yeah. So yeah, when you keep that reminder in front of you, you just got to remember like why this goal is so important to you, right? Keep it in front of you so that it just stays top of mind, stays as a priority. Because if not, life's going to get in the way. Your schedule will fill up, and then these goals won't happen. You'll be that much further from where you want to be.
Yeah. Because I guarantee there's going to be days when you're not going to feel like taking the action that you need to. But when you have that goal in front of you and you're having to make the decision of, yeah, I'm either going to like fall back or I'm going to take this action and like work towards my goal, then it's way more likely you're going to do that versus just not really looking at it, not really thinking about it. And then you're tired. You're like, man, I just want to go to sleep, or I just want to chill and watch TV or do something where I don't have to like push myself. But if you come home, you look at those goals, you're like, I do have something that I need to do, and I would have forgot if it wasn't in front of me.
That's it. So I know today we're coming with a lot of good news. You might die, right? You can't dabble. You can't go all in. You got to find somewhere in the middle. You got to weigh in. You got to know where you're at, and you got to write this stuff down so you keep it in front of you and you stay committed to it, right? But all that being said, if you're thinking, man, this is too hard, this is too overwhelming, that's your problem. That's the fifth step, is you got to think about like the way that you communicate this is how it's going to feel in your head. The language that we choose for things makes such a difference. And I can promise you the clients that we have who have a positive attitude, who take like challenge with stride, right? Like kind of take pride in accomplishing something that's difficult, do way better than the people who go like, I'm trying on this diet, but this is so hard. I miss this and I miss that and I can't do this. When you talk about like the negative side of things, you're just reinforcing those negative feelings, which might sound like woo-woo, right? Or whatever. But
you get that from Star Wars too?
That's yeah, maybe. But the language that we choose really reflects how we do things, right? It's like, here, I'll give you one. The little engine that could, right? I think I can.
Thomas the Train.
That's it. That's how you get stuff done. So fifth thing is just make sure that you're choosing the right language, and make sure that as things get tough, just remind yourself that you are capable of it, and remind yourself of all the positive things that are happening because of the goal that you're working on, not what you're missing out on because you're challenging yourself.
Yeah, and when I think about this, I think it's also super important to have like somebody in your inner circle or like an accountability type person that understands this as well, right? Because no matter how much you understand this, when you are 100% committed to something and you're really striving and you really want that result, and then something happens and you go off track or you let yourself down or something like that, it's super easy to get into that like negative mindset and feel like you failed. And maybe you know, like, okay, I need to learn from this and whatnot, but it still takes a while before you get there. Like, and that's why I love our relationship, where we know that we can talk to each other about this stuff. And there's times where, you know, one of us might be like, man, I really let myself down. And then immediately that person's like, hang on, like, did you really? Or is this what happened? And just like reframing that narrative of what happened can go such a long way, because so many times we don't remember what happened in an event, but we remember how an event made us feel. And so if we constantly feel like we're failing, then a lot of the times it's easier to blow things up in your head and make them way worse than they actually were. And then so you don't even want to keep going forward, or you don't believe that you can. So it's important to have that person in your life that reframes it. So even if it is something that isn't in line with your goals that happened, you're able to reframe it and say, okay, well, I can learn from that. And then it's a way better experience from what happened versus like I failed at that thing.
For sure. So that's it. That's the 5 mistakes. If you can avoid those things, you're going to be starting strong, and you're going to be on the path to getting those fitness results you're after. And if you're ready to accomplish some goals, you want to challenge yourself and see how far you can push the ball, we got the right challenge for you. Go to pathwaychallenge.com. Get all the details. Get signed up. Don't miss out. Don't get shut out. We'll see you here next time on the Pathway Podcast.